This is the video on pattern format. Here we see a pattern in dark blue here. Appears to be a square. Let's see how that was created. We'll go to the program. I've highlighted in green here the routine that made that blue square. Blue square was made by use of a pattern. Here is a list of values that make a pattern. The first value in the list is called the header for the pattern, and we can recognize it as being a header because it starts out with 1,230,000 and ends with here a 4, and that's the number of entries to make the pattern. Here we see at offset 1, 2, 3, and 4. This first entry says 400x, 400 for y. The next one says 600 for x, 400 for y. Then 600 for x, 600y, and then 400x, 600y. What this defines is a square because 400, 400 is here, then 600, 400 over here, 600, 600 down here, and then 400, 600 over here. It made its points in a square. Patterns have the x and y value in the same number. However, these are just relative positions. They are not the actual XY positions that will be used when we draw that blue square. First of all, here it's going to set up control registers for the actual values. It says the rotation is 0, the size 100. Remember, these are relative, but now here it says no, the size is 100. The X and Y position is 125, 175. Then it says take that pattern and make actual XY positions for these 4 points that we have to find up here. But these are relative points. Make the color 5, which is a dark blue, and fill the polygon for those points. Well, let's go back and execute the program. Here are the actual points it made. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here is the dark blue fill of the polygon. Now around it we see this square. Well, that's a rectangle operation. Let's go back to the program and see what made that. It's 150 tall, 150 wide. Its XY position is 50, 100. The quill used is 2. That's the width of the line it's going to draw the rectangle. The color is 0, which is black, and then it says rectangle draw. Well, what we want to show here is that the pattern has its center at 125, 175, whereas that rectangle has its upper left-hand corner at 50, 100. Let's go back and look at it again. Here is 50, 100, but here is the center of the pattern. Patterns go by where their center is, and everything is relative to their center. Their center is 500, 500. Remember, all the points we saw were 400s and 600s, so they were all away 100 from the center. Now we're going to go on to describe these other patterns over here. Dark blue, the green, the red, and the light blue. We'll go back to the program. I've highlighted in green here the routine that made those 4 patterns. It starts out with doing a tick on T with 40. That means this value of T is going to go from 0 to 39, 0 to 39 over and over again. And because it's going to take 40 ticks, that's 2 seconds. It's going to take 2 seconds to go from 0 to 39. Then it says if it's less than 20, go to FC. Well, that's half of the time It'll be less than 20. If it is less than 20, it jumps this instruction. If it's greater than 20, it does this tall and wide instruction to that pattern we made. And it says it's going to be 50% the tall value, but 100% the wide value. Well, we saw it was changing from a square to a rectangle as it went back and forth and went in a circle. Next, it sets rotation to t, multiplies it by 24. Well, t is 0, that'll be 0. When it's 24, it's going to be 24 times 39, which is almost 960. So it's changing the rotation value such that it's going in a circle. Then it does a roll on the value of s. Well, that's the size. So it's also going to be changing the size. Here it changed the shape, then it changed the rotation. Now it's also going to be changing the size. This row operation is going to go from 0 to 19 and 19 back to 0 again. It's going to multiply the s value, the size, by 4 and add 20 to it. So it's at least going to be 20. It's changing the size here. Then it sets an XY position 400, 125 and says make the dots for that pattern in that position, also giving the R and S values and the pattern for it. It makes the dots, makes the color a dark blue, and does the polygon. Well, then it makes another position for it, and this time it says it's to be a regular green color, an average green color. Then drew the polygon, and again another position, then make it a dark red, another position and make it a blue-green. It probably will show up as a light blue color. And let's execute it and see what happens. Here we see that in 1 second it's one shape, and then it changes to the rectangle shape. It's a square, it's a rectangle. It's a square, it's a rectangle. We see also it's changing its size. And it's obvious that it's also going around in a circle. Alright, this is the end of the video on pattern format.